folks. So, I want to apologize for dropping the ball on that last live ended stream. Ended right as the main event was getting started. I apologize. I feel like I owe you guys a proper part 2 reaction with highlights to the Derek Lewis DC fight. So I've rigged it up here. There's a YouTube video of it. I will show you the highlights and provide commentary in a hopefully more acceptable and effective way. And like I said, in the future, this issue will not present itself again. I guarantee you that. I'm going to get an extended battery. I want to make sure I didn't get yanked from YouTube. It was the battery that went bad. And I will provide this link in the original video for your viewing pleasure. So without further ado, I feel like I'm doing this more for myself than my audience, particularly after the fact. But I messed up, so I got to make it right. So without further ado, here we go. DC, Derek Lewis. All right. Just touch gloves. Derek Lewis looking way bigger than DC early. This is the biggest thing I noticed. Clear size advantage. DC obviously eating food to get up to weight. Derek Lewis cutting weight. Significant for such a big boy as himself. Leg kicks by Derek Lewis. That's interesting. So he's been focusing all on cardio. Another leg kick by DC this time. Oh, good head kick by Derek Lewis. It was like a switch kick off the left. Derek Lewis is a funny dude, man. Like, not in just the obvious ways, but like he's funny. Like he convinces people that he really doesn't work that hard. Like, dude, I guarantee you, this dude just training his ass off. He shows so much improvement. You'll see him, especially you watch some of his training videos on YouTube. You'll see him throwing head kicks, high kicks. Dude's got more skill than he lets on. No doubt, he's probably not elite caliber as far as the skill level goes, but man, he's trying and he's getting there. So DC with the takedown. He's got Derek Lewis in half guard, smothering him, throwing some elbows. This is kind of how we predicted the fight would go. So this is no obvious surprise. DC really digging his shoulder into Derek Lewis's face. That's going to disrupt the breathing pattern of Derek Lewis. Going to make it really hard for him to recover, catch his breath. DC known for breaking guys, man. The prognosis, even though the fight's already over, and we know how it ends, is not looking good for Derek Lewis early. He's got a clear cardio deficit. Shown his fight and has even said as much. He didn't even want the title fight based on the cardio, and that tends to be where DC excels in breaking his opponents. Taking a very interesting risk. He actually turned down Stipe Miocic for this fight because he said that was much riskier. And I got to agree with him. I don't know what to say about the decision to actually take the Derek Lewis fight, but I do feel like Stipe is not a guy you want to take lightly on short notice, and he feels like he can get away with taking on Derek Lewis. Now's probably the time. The guy just had a fight a couple of weeks ago. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Seems like he's just stating the truth. DC riding Derek Lewis's back. He's got him pinned up against the cage, feeding him a lot of hammer fists to the face. Real short uppercuts do a lot more damage than they look. They look like little pitter-patter shots, but those add up, man, especially when you're taking them right on the jaw, which he is. Derek Lewis looking composed, doing a good job getting back to his feet. DC with a single leg takedown gets him right back to the mat. DC really putting in some pressure, trying to break that guard. Derek Lewis doing a really good job with wrist control. Wrist control, for those of you who are not familiar, don't train in jiu-jitsu, you grab onto your opponent's wrists so you can prevent them from manipulating position, can opening the back of your head. That's where you kind of clench like this in the back of the head and pull the person forward. Puts a lot of pressure on the spine, opens up your legs, makes it really easy to pass guard. I'm really impressed with Derek Lewis on the ground here early. He's got DC in half guard, which means that his legs are wrapped around at least one of DC's legs so he can control his weight, prevent him from posturing up all the way and throwing down bombs. Interestingly enough, guys like Randy Couture back in the day actually preferred half guard because you could sit up on that thigh and kind of pin your opponent in position while you hit them, as opposed to full mount where they have the ability to buck and get your weight up off them. DC taking the back right now. Derek Lewis just turtling up. DC throwing a lot of those side uppercuts, hooks, whatever you want to call them. Looks like he's going for a rear naked choke. That's not a real big surprise. We've seen him do that against Anthony Johnson. I think he had a couple of close attempts against Alexander Gustafsson. Don't quote me on that. It's been a long time since I watched that fight, but that's one thing he is known for. Breaking guys and taking the back. He did that to Dan Henderson as well. Going for that rear naked choke. He knows how to make the position open itself. You know, like a really great quote from an excellent boxer, Vasily Lomachenko, was, he said, "I don't wait for openings, I create openings." And I feel like that embodies what Daniel Cormier is all about on the ground. Like, he forces you to put your hands in a position where he can slide that choke in there. He hits you with the shots. Nate Diaz did a really good job with that. Here's the end of the round. No in-around highlights where we can see him touching the gloves beginning of the second. This is like an aftermarket bootleg video, so I apologize, but once again, I gotta make it right the best of my ability. All right. DC taking control in the center, throwing a lot of jabs out there. Derek Lewis not throwing much. He had a big right uppercut. Wings misses. Not much of a setup. Threw like a three-piece combination there. He's really loving that head kick, man. He's throwing a lot of those. I wonder if he thinks that he's going to catch DC off guard. Drop him with one of those big shots. Just from the sheer surprise element. DC not having it, though. Nope, definitely not having it. Derek Lewis at the straight right, down pipe, lands on DC. DC fakes a shot and comes up with a left hook. He did a lot of that mixing up against Stipe, and I think that really threw him off his game. He's a smart dude, that Daniel Cormier, man. Okay, he gets a single leg, drops Derek Lewis to his back. He's got him in a north-south position. Seems like he's trying to drag him to the mat right now. We'll go ahead and give you guys a little glimpse of the action here. I know you're getting bored. Oh, feeding them some good knees. Derek Lewis looking a little bit helpless. He's struggling. Oh, gets that single leg again, dumps him right on his back. See if he can pass the guard this time. Say what you will about Derek Lewis, but man, the dude has heart and a lot more skill than he's given credit for. What is this new logo on the gloves? I don't recall seeing this before. Is this a sponsor, or I can't see close enough? Oh, DC got the back, sinking in a rear naked choke. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Made him tap just like that. Wow. DC looking very ecstatic, overjoyed. Probably getting a huge payday, right? You gotta be happy about that. Man, that smile on his face. It looks like $1 million. Derek Lewis, can't fault him for taking that fight on short notice, man. Can't fault him for the loss. This is a win-win for Derek Lewis, in my opinion. I'm getting ready to show you guys the highlights when they replay it. Derek Lewis, man, he got a lot more fame, notoriety. His Instagram blew up after this, or before this, really, and will after this. Get some good experience on the big stage. You can jot that down on his resume. Got a title shot. Didn't go his way, but hey, man, what can you say? Took the fight on short notice, coming off a war with a come-behind victory. Did really well. All right, looks like they're just going to announce the victory. Derek Lewis looking really disappointed. Here we go. Here's the highlights. DC dumping him on his back, getting that north-south position, dumping him again. A lot of ground and pound. And then here's the end of the fight, man. He sinks in those hooks, gets that rear naked choke. That's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Transition the back take. Hey, he was just waiting on that. That is DC's bread and butter, man. Derek Lewis forced the tap. I've seen the post-fight interviews. I know he's really disappointed with that, but he's really got nothing to be ashamed of. Went in there on short notice, gave it his all. I love Derek Lewis. I'm always going to be a fan. Can't wait to see him back in action. I really can't wait to see John Jones back in action. I'm ecstatic to see him versus Brock Lesnar or DC if they want to run that back. I would not be opposed to that one bit. But that's pretty much it, folks. Herb Dean going to raise DC's hand, do a post-fight interview. Once again, I apologize for the way the first one went live. Please don't hold it against me. Won't happen in the future. I want to do a lot more of these, be more active. I'm going to post this one, a link, comments on the original. And yeah, take care, folks. Stay frosty, as Luke Thomas would say.